This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is Vanessa Marshall, Harrison Dula from Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi show number 417. This is your spoiler-free place for Star Wars discussion, analysis, and rhetoric. I'm your host, Dan Z, drinking One Nation coffee out of my Star Wars Wish You Were Here Batu coffee mug. Thrilled to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you. And hey, it is the 8th anniversary of Coffee with Kenobi. 8 years ago today, at the time of this recording, Corey Club and I released the first episode of Coffee with Kenobi. It was 20 minutes long. It took us probably 23 hours to figure it out. And now, look where we are 8 years later. And we've got a very special show. Krystina Arielle, the host of Star Wars The High Republic Show, is on to talk all about both The High Republic itself, the creation of the show, and so much more. She's a very, very cool person. You're going to absolutely love the conversation. I can't wait to share it with each and every one of you. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite coffee mug, and let's have some coffee with Kenobi.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first?
Joining us today for a cup of coffee is first-time guest, but certainly no stranger to the world of Star Wars and all things cool. Please welcome Krystina Arielle to Coffee with Kenobi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so excited. Huge fan of yours, and we've become buddies over the past couple of months. So now we get to talk all about what brought you to the world of Star Wars and this incredible new show. So please share with us your history of Star Wars and what initially drew you to this galaxy far, far away.
Well, the first thing that I can remember at my earliest point would, of course, I've said this before, but it's the Ewoks cartoon. So you can imagine how extremely happy I was when that popped up on Disney Plus. It was a very great day. I'm trying to show my kid, like, look at this. This is so exciting. This was cutting edge when I was little.
That's right.
So it was that. And then actually the first Star Wars movie that I saw in theaters was Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. And I've been a huge Natalie Portman fan forever, so I will watch her in absolutely anything. And that was my first time going to the movie, hearing the fanfare and getting just kind of sucked into this world. And that led me on this road to keep watching them and hang out with my best friend Jamel. And we would watch the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. Oh, yeah. And we do like Star Wars marathons all the time. And I've just stayed in it my whole life. It's been there kind of recurring. And I had an aunt who was a really huge Billy D. Williams fan. So she was a Star Wars fan because she loved Lando Calrissian. So when I moved to LA, I'm from Columbus, Georgia. I'm an Army brat, so I'm kind of from everywhere. But I lived in Columbus, Georgia, and I moved here in 2014. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but like if I do get into entertainment, I want to work with like one big sci-fi thing so I can go to conventions free for the rest of my life. And I ended up going for a walk. Nailed it. Going with my husband and my stepson for a walk, and they were setting up the red carpet for Rogue One. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go to one of those one day. Fast forward a couple of years, and I get to go to the solo premiere. And I was there as a cosplayer, and I was working with Elle Hoffer wearing her Lando Calrissian wrap. So I got to like see the Millennium Falcon, like stand there with like both Landos. It's like, it was such, oh my gosh, it was a very full circle moment. And I met one of my best friends, Jamie King, who played Aura Singh. We actually met that night, and we've been best friends ever since, which is really cool.
Really?
And yeah, and then now I do the High Republic show.
How about that? You know, Solo was the first premiere that I went to as well. We probably crossed paths a few times. Who knows?
We probably did. I talked to a couple of people. I posted a picture from it the other day, and it's like finding out people are in the background that are now like in your life. Like I've got a picture of the back of Anthony Carboni and Andy Gutierrez. Like the back of them. I've got a picture of the back of Eunice.
Oh yeah.
And it's so funny now to go back and talk to them and be like, I have a picture of the back of your head.
For Eunice, it's probably the back of his kneecap. Yeah. So
yeah. It was funny. I love his energy about Star Wars and about being part of it. And like the way he shares Chewbacca content constantly. It's like, you know, it's a genuine love for what you're doing. And I think that's so cool. I love seeing people like live their kind of full circle dream, like a thing that they loved when they were a kid and now they get to be a part of it. I feel that way a lot about, like, it's not Star Wars, but Doctor Who. It's kind of like how David Tennant, when he started out, like he loved Doctor Who, and then he went and did Doctor Who serials. They hadn't even brought the show back. Then he gets to be the Doctor, and then he married the Doctor's daughter. It's a whole thing. Like, it's so cool. I love stories like that. They make my heart happy.
That's right, and it's cool that you're like another testament to that kind of arc of fandom and how things can come full circle. You clearly have a number of interests in the world of films, comics, and entertainment. But for you, what makes Star Wars stand out?
I think the strongest thing, and I've said this before, I always worry that I'm like repeating myself. Then I realize some people didn't hear the other thing, so I have no idea what you're talking about. But for me, there's certain properties that try to tie to certain people. So I can remember in 2010 watching a Star Wars marathon with my grandpa Jack, who passed away, but I still have that like solid, firm memory with him. And with my friend Jamel, like we spent all this time together. One of my first friends that I made in 9th grade that is still my friend to this day. And 9th grade was a long time ago. So it's like to still have that bond over something where we'll still call each other and be like, I'm watching episode 2 today. I'm watching episode 4. Like where we have those conversations, and it's such a comforting memory of a person. And it's one of those things that feels like home because of the people it connects you to.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very well said. Yeah, Star Wars has brought so many good family memories into our lives, and then we make friends like you're talking about that become like family to you because you have this connection to this mythology that is just kind of transcends time. It's just a really fascinating thing. Speaking of fascinating things, I've been dying to know. We're going to talk about the High Republic naturally, but can you share what it was like when you first learned you will be hosting the Star Wars The High Republic show?
I thought it was a joke, and the only like saving grace of it was like Anthony Carboni had reached out to me. And I was like, okay, so he's not just like messing with me for the sake of it. Like we had just played a D&D game together on Fungeons and Flagons. So it was like, well, I didn't like make him mad or anything. It's like, no, I just want to connect you and introduce you to somebody. And then I had that Zoom call, and I feel like the only thing that it made me kind of stop, because I lost my dad to COVID in last year in April. And all of my good things are like what I would call him. And like, I just remember like going to pick up the phone and like call him and be like, Dad, but I couldn't. So it's kind of like one of those things where
about that.
I like, that's just like the honest moment of it. Like it's one of the most exciting moments of my life, but it's also one of those things that's kind of colored by this, like,
Certainly.
But I did I couldn't really talk about it to anybody anyway. So when it finally came about, it was just like, I like to think that like maybe my dad's like pulling strings up somewhere. And he's like,
absolutely.
He was like, oh, you want to do a cool thing? I got you, baby girl. So
absolutely.
I feel a lot of joy in knowing it's something that would have made him really proud that I get to do that. And the whole way I came to this feels like magic. And so I just kind of let the magic ride.
I love it, man. This is, see, I knew it would be wonderful to have you on. This is great. So
I'm a very honest person.
Hey, we like that. And I mean, authenticity that's what Coffee with Kenobi is all about. So there are certainly many new exciting characters from the High Republic, and it's a brand new section of the Star Wars mythology naturally, but which one resonates with you the most? I know that may be an unfair question because there are a lot of really cool characters.
I'm going to go with 2. The first book that I read out of everything was A Test of Courage. And
great. So great.
A Test of Courage is such a great book because, like, even tying into what I just said, reading that book as someone who's dealing with grief and processing grief, reading these books, you kind of see that recurring theme of grief that's in Star Wars and like what pushes people to do the things that they do. It's kind of like what Kristen talked about with Darth Vader. We never actually saw Anakin grieve and go through that. So what are the consequences of that? If you still have to go out and be a Jedi, you still have to go out and be in the world and like be strong and stoic because you're a Jedi or you're training to be a Jedi. And you kind of, the thing I love about it is you kind of see people wrestling with their emotions outside of like just Anakin. You see all of these different people and how they're dealing with, okay, I've just gone through this catastrophic event and now I'm in another one and another one and another precarious situation. And there's no time to actually deal with the realities of life. But going back to J6, J6 is one of the droids in A Test of Courage. And I remember the second I read it, I had that song Fly Like a G6 and I was like a J6, like a J6. And I like remember when I finally connected with Krystina Arielle, I was like, this song, she always makes me think about Fly Like a G6, but it's Fly Like a J6. I was so excited about just like a rose gold droid. Yes, give it to me. I want it. I'll keep it forever. And you got a Bob. Like, let's be best friends. And she has like the way that she's been reprogrammed is that she's starting to like have this own like autonomy and sense of self. And so to kind of see like that sassy droid, it's like very like L6. It's like I love all of it. And
she's so like, she's got this very creepy dark side that's like kind of slowly evolving. It's like, oh my gosh, is this going to turn to a murder droid? What's going on?
It's a very like what I heard it. What was it like a gallows humor kind of like dark sense of humor.
Yes,
that's in my head because I watched Big Sky last night and like that was how the lady described herself. It's actually a really great show. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's a Disney property, so I think it works.
It is. Does that have that John Stamos? Is that the John Stamos one?
No, it's the one it had Ryan Phillippe and
yeah. Of course.
I don't know. It's really dramatic. I love soapy night times. It's like very Dallas, and it takes me back to like watching Dallas and Melrose Place with my mom. It's great, but it's but with cowboys and in Montana. Other favorite characters.
So with some people, you ask them a question and it maybe give you a couple of words or a sentence. But I can see with you, I'm just gonna have to say cheese. And we can just go. I love it. It's so good. Anyway.
Speaking of cheating, I'm just kidding.
So we've got J6, like a G6. And then who else?
Okay. And of course, Keith Trennis. I will fangirl over Keith Trennis with Kevin. And Kevin loves her like I do. She's just... Whereas Vernestra comes across as very stoic and sure of herself, even if she does have that self-doubt. Like Keeve is extremely capable, but full of like self-doubt and imposter syndrome. Like she is a bundle of those things. She's meeting Avar Chris, and the first thing out of her mouth is like, she's like cricking, like, oh my, like she can't stop like swearing because she's so, and that's me. Like I'm a fangirl. Keeve is like a fangirl of the Jedi, and I too feel that when you're around somebody and you're like, hi, I know all these unnecessary facts and I don't want to say them all to you because it's probably really weird for you, but this is how my brain connects thing to thing. And so everything is going to come out in a constant stream and I don't know where it's going to go, but I really like your face.
Oh, that's fantastic. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about these people that are always hiding their face, the Nile. What makes the Nile so frightening and such effective villains for this era of Star Wars?
Because they're in denial.
Hey, I do the dad jokes. Come on.
Listen, your dad joke energy is going to have to meet my mom joke energy, and we can
high five. Virtual high five. Let's do it.
No, I think what's interesting about the Nile, like especially with Markion Rowe and the way that his story is narrated, you kind of empathize with him a little bit at first, like before you kind of see all the things, like all of the wheels that are turning at the time. I don't want to like spoil anything for anyone who hasn't read it, but there's like a really great kind of what a twist that tells them how the emergencies are happening. And I don't want to like,
right. I hear you.
But it's that was the turning point for me. And I was like, oh, these people actually are like, it's anything to get what they want.
It's nihilism.
They feel
it's entitled.
It is. Mm-hmm. And they feel so entitled to it that they don't care who gets hurt in the process, because those people are just a means to an end, or a meat to an end, if you will.
Right. That's a good point. That wasn't even a mom joke because it was very sinister.
It was, and it's also because of the Drangier, so everybody's meat to the Drangier.
It's so good. So the great thing about each of these existing High Republic books, and naturally we're going to get into Wave 2 very, very soon, is they cross over so beautifully, but they have a very distinctive voice in their own right. So let's look at each one of them individually. Naturally, talk to all the authors and creators of this incredible series. But Charles Soule's Light of the Galaxy sets the stage for this new era of Star Wars storytelling. For you, what made that book such a terrific read?
So with Light of the Jedi, it starts off so strong.
First 100 pages, boom.
It is like you get straight into catastrophe within the first chapter. Like you don't get out of the epilogue before you're just like, geez. Yeah. And I think it is kind of great to have it start off. Not to say the tragedy is great. No, it really caught me off guard completely. Like especially
the suspense is so powerful.
It is, because you're like, okay, well, the Jedi are going to save them, right? Or she's going to be saved. Like there's a way that this is going to work out. And then it's just, there's no sunshine. It's just tragedy.
Right.
And to start with something so profound and then just to see the consequences, like all of these books, you kind of are seeing the fallout. You're seeing the consequences, or you're seeing it happen at the same time across the same timeline. And it's so much of it for me is like seeing the grief, but it's also seeing the hope that arises. Like you hear Avar Kriss come over the comm system, and you know the Jedi are on the way, and you have that feeling of this can be okay. Like, and then to see Hetzel Prime and the tragedies there, and all these people that they weren't in time to save, that they didn't get a chance to go in and be the Jedi to the rescue, save the day, fix it all. Right. Because you can't save everyone, and you can't fix everything, but you can try to save what you can. And I think that was a big strength to me for Light of the Jedi. It's because it sets the stage for, yes, there's tragedy. Yes, we're introducing something that could potentially lead to more, but there, at the heart of it, there's always hope.
Which is, of course, a central theme in Star Wars. It's something that we love so much about this incredible story. So you talked about Justina's A Test of Courage. Clearly, it's a middle grade novel, but it's certainly not light on drama, action, or intensity. Plus, it features Vernestra Rowe, who I would say is probably my favorite character in all of the High Republic so far. She's the youngest member of the Jedi Order to achieve knighthood, which is fascinating. But for you, what sets her apart from previous Jedi we have met in Star Wars mythology besides light whips?
What I do like about her light whip is like the Force told her to engineer this. Like she is so in tune with it that it taught her to modify her lightsaber to a way that would eventually help save her. Mm-hmm. And I think Verna's just a strong character because when you're listening to her inner monologue and her thoughts, like you do hear her doubt. You do see that she doesn't quite feel like she's good enough for what she's doing either.
Right.
But everyone else believes in her so fully. And it's a lot of weight to put on someone's shoulders, especially when you think about how young Vern is, to have to go into the situation that they go into, the big now I want to say tragedy, the big event of
Yes.
A Test of Courage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a young adult book, and you're seeing these young people have to deal with survival.
Right.
And how they're going to do so while also trying to process everything they just went through. And then deal with, once again, the bigger threat of the Nile. And
Right.
they are terrifying. They are, like, you think about it and you just think throwaway, like space pirates. It's like, no, like these are people who will kill you without really thinking about it.
They will engineer it without any feelings, which is pretty scary.
It is. Like, someone without a conscience is extremely dangerous.
Yes.
And that's essentially what this is and what they're dealing with. And for Vern to have to deal with that and to deal with it as strongly as she does, I think it's pretty great. And I love the storytelling of these books. I feel like each of these authors get to write these characters at different points.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they each know and show a different part of them. But they, at the core of it, they all get who these people are supposed to be, who these characters are. And it's like, even going into like Claudia with Into the Dark, like Wreath, all of these people, you're getting these well-rounded stories and these characters who are flawed and who don't instinctively say, absolutely, this is the way it should be. No, they're like, why? Like the Jedi in these stories are asking why a lot more. They're wondering, what's the point? Like, what does this serve? Well, I'm happy doing this. Why can't I stay here? Why do I have to leave Coruscant, go here? It's pretty strong.
Let's take a really quick break and we will return with much more from Krystina Arielle. This is Coffee with Kenobi.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
If you are getting ready to plan that Walt Disney World or Disneyland vacation, look no further than MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, the official travel partner of Coffee with Kenobi. Their signature service and expert advice will help clients maximize their vacation time and dollar. And it is a no-cost, no-obligation quote. That's right. You can have them help you set up your vacation exactly how you want to make it work for you and your family. They'll give you all kinds of tips about what is the best day to go to what parks, how to use the park reservation system on either coast, and what the lines are like and what that means for you as far as planning and getting there when the park opens. And whether you are an experienced vacation planner or you are a first-timer, they can help you as well. They contact you throughout the trip to make sure things are going well, to give you suggestions and advice, or answer any questions that you might have, and you will have them when you're traveling on these amazing vacations. And there's nothing better than having Becky Mankin and her team at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel to help you as you go along. Becky Mankin and her team are fantastic, and I use them both for travel, for Coffee with Kenobi, and for my family vacation. So if you feel safe and comfortable traveling, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel will help you get to the Disney theme parks, the cruise lines when they open, the future Star Wars Halcyon, the Galactic Star Cruiser, and of course, Celebration 2022 in Anaheim. If you have any questions or want to go ahead and get a free, no obligation quote, please be sure to go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel and let them know that Dan Z and Coffee with Kenobi sent you. So you mentioned Into the Dark by Claudia Gray. She brings her own style to the young adult novel with more well-rounded characters that each deal with a significant amount of inner conflict. And as you just mentioned, the humanity and the inner conflict of these characters, the fact that they're not perfect, the fact that they question, which for me as a parent and as an educator, to me that's so absolutely important. So how does this novel speak to you as far as Claudia's approach?
I think with this story and with the introduction of like Comac Vitus and Orla Jurini and having this time flash where you see their kind of big mistake that made them the people that they are, that made Orla the way seeker, that made Comac I don't want to say he's like a
right.
I don't know. I like
the
him.
character that he is.
The character that he is.
Yes.
And to see this kind of like time jump between this history that they have and then to see Wreath dealing with having to say goodbye and to start over and then as he's getting ready to embark on this journey he doesn't want to go on anyway, like the unthinkable happens. And Star Wars is traumatic, man.
Yes, it is. When you think about what some of these characters go through, it's pretty intense.
It's surprising that all of them have to continue on and are able to do the things they do with everything that they are faced with.
And yet they persevere, which is why we love them.
Absolutely. Like they still find their way through, and like I'm sure they have their moments where they think about it and contemplate it, but they just keep going. And with Claudia's characters, even though they didn't want to, they just keep going because it's the right thing to do. And they find those hopeful moments, even when, and there's, oh my gosh, the reason you really need to read this book is because there's this great moment and there's this really cool character named Dez and some stuff happens and, it's really great. He's a really cool character.
Yes.
And when you see what happens, you'll be like, and you'll come back to this and you'll say, Krystina, I now understand all those really weird sounds you made while you were trying not to spoil what happened in the book, but also tell us that it's great.
That's right. All right, so let's talk about, for you in preparing an episode of Star Wars: The High Republic, what goes into it? Because for a lot of people, they don't know how much work goes in preparing an episode and all the things you have to do to get ready.
Okay. So this last one that we did, I'm very fortunate that a big part of my job is reading, and I'm really good at that. But it's also a lot of research and knowing the material. I will be, I think before the last time we shot, I was up till 1:30 the night before, still trying to make sure my questions for the interview section were, I don't want to ask questions where it's just like you're just going to learn about the characters and we're going to go and we're going to move on. It's like talking about the connection. It's making a human connection to these authors who are putting their heart and soul into creating these characters, and they get this chance to create this amazing lore to go on top of what we already have, but it also gives them a chance to make it as fresh as possible because they get a little more wiggle room to create creatures and different things that you don't have when you have a set family and story that you're trying to connect everything back to. And creating the show is a big thing. We have an amazing production team who I absolutely adore, from Nikki Capaferri. We have Anina Wallace and Scott Bromley, who is hilarious, Emily Scrucani, and it's all of these people. Oh, Amanda Jean Camarilla is amazing. Yeah, like it's one of those things where I'm like, who's all in the Zoom call? Which, because of course we are right now remote filming, which is another layer of complication on making a show when you're trying to like, okay, you don't get facial reactions. You just get black Zoom windows.
Right.
And hope that you're doing like the best job that you possibly can. But
that might be better because then you don't have to see Scott's expressions all the time. That guy's too much of a character.
No, I love Scott. And I love that Scott is he and Anina, like they're all also reality television fans. So we get to talk about like what could be in the vein of Star Wars meets nonsense. But you hear that.
Scott is one of my favorite people. He's great.
He is. And everything that they do makes this show great. And the fact that no joke is too outlandish or corny or dad jokey, it's a true. When I got asked into the High Republic and to start reading these books, like immediately it was, I want to read everything. I want books, comics, background notes, whatever it is. I want to know everything about it so that I can truly do my job and be excited about what I'm doing. And it was, for me, the big selling point of the High Republic was, if I were a young person coming into this and I'd never read Star Wars, or I was someone who wanted to get into Star Wars and I was threatened by all the lore that there is, it's like everyone is coming in on equal footing. Everyone is coming in as a beginner. These are all new stories. It's an all new story of the galaxy. Like, yes,
Right.
there are, like, yes, it's Jedi, it's all of these things, but it's also a fresh take on the stories that we know. And it's a fresh opportunity. I think of each phase from like the first movies to episode 1, 2, and 3 to 6 or 7, 8, 9. Like, every generation has their Star Wars that they came in with, even if they started with the originals, but there's something that came out in these last 40 plus years, like 50. If there's all of these stories that have come out at different phases, at different parts of people's lives, and that was different introductions for them. This may be somebody's introduction into Star Wars that makes them a lifelong fan, that makes them read the Star Wars book, that makes them read Skywalker Family, or that makes them go and get into all of these things. It makes them go and watch the original trilogy, that makes them go and love this for the rest of their life. And to be able to be a part of that and to be in the passenger seat. And while people are discovering these stories, and to get to give them insider information or exclusive reveals about what books are coming out or what audio story is coming out, it means a lot to me because I get to be a part of someone's Star Wars story, and they get to learn, and that means a lot to me.
Oh, it's incredibly powerful, amazing thing, and I really can't think of anyone better. I mean, just spending the last hour with you has been so incredibly pleasant, and I'm just so happy that you are not only doing what you're doing and just being your authentic self and bringing this incredible energy and passion to Star Wars. I mean, I love it. I am so grateful for you, Krystina. And you have got so many talents. You're involved in so many things. But one of your biggest things that I think you're so good at is cosplay. So your cosplay is mind-blowingly good. It's so you've got to have, because of course Celebration is being moved up 6 months, which is incredibly exciting. You've got to have some High Republic cosplay ideas.
Maybe. I never tell my cosplays before they happen. No, but I do. I don't. You saw my cloak, right? My High Republic cloak that Elle Hoffer made for me.
Yeah.
It's like an authentic, like High Republic cloak. You have no idea how excited I was that day and how I ran around my house and I was like, ah! As soon as I opened the box, I like threw it on and I'm like, oh, I don't want it to get dirty, so I like put it in the back of the closet and the thing, and I'm like,
special gloves.
I'm gonna wear it to Celebration one day, and
nice.
I look forward to it, and I do have something in the works. Soon.
Fun. Awesome.
For a cosplay.
Well, the whole month of February, your Twitter was so awesome to follow because you just had so many amazing pictures. Like just the amount, like all the things you do, and being a mom and a wife, and then you've got all this stuff for cosplay. Man, you have more hours in the day than most people, and I'm just so impressed.
I don't sleep. My working hours are nap time and bedtime. So I get as much accomplished in those hours as I possibly can.
Can relate.
And it is one of those things, especially with a toddler and trying to do all the things. I'm also very blessed with a partner that if I have a filming day or I have a long shoot day, my husband and I sit down before the week starts, and it's like, okay, what do I need to do to be accommodating to make sure that you get to have your, like, do your job and do what you need to do. And especially in a pandemic, it's been extremely hard, but like with like the support that I've had from him to make all of these things happen, and from my family, like I'm very grateful because I do get to spend all the time. I get to working from home has been great in like silver lining kind of way where I have gotten to like spend the first 20 months of my child's life with him and not running out to go and shoot. And like the whole time I was pregnant, I filmed TTRPGs and interviews and rode around, did all this kind of stuff, was doing short films, still pregnant, like hiding the stomach. And so like to be able to just chill for those kind of, and still work and still do the things that I do, and to be fortunate enough to do right now, to do this show from home, I am extremely, extremely fortunate. And I recognize that.
Oh, it's great. And, you know, just like we talked about earlier, like the power of resilience, not only through our characters, but through us as people, is just so important. Like those are the kind of things we have to hold on to. And did you ever think in your wildest dreams that someday you'd be on Coffee with Kenobi? I mean,
On the anniversary of Coffee with Kenobi, which is now my first appearance on Coffee with Kenobi anniversary.
That's right.
So I can never forget it.
That's right. All part of the plan. I love it.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is...
As we near the end of the show today, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to have a cup of coffee with me and for helping to spread the word about our Star Wars family we've got here at Coffee with Kenobi. Be sure to tune in Monday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/live or www.facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and have a cup of coffee, tea, or any beverage of your choosing with me as we continue the conversation. To join us in the CWK Cafe, which is our Facebook group, and share your Star Wars thoughts, comments, reviews, and opinions in a family-friendly, spoiler-free place that is also drama-free, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/community and be part of the conversation, talk about this week's show, or just talk about some Star Wars. We have a lot of fun and you'll make some new friends as well as catch up with longtime friends along the way. I also want to thank all of the new and longtime members of the CWK Alliance and let you know how much I appreciate your help and encouragement. If you want to join the CWK Alliance, go to www.cwkalliance.com and sign up today. Not only will you help out Coffee with Kenobi, but you also get access to CWK Pour-Over, the exclusive weekly podcast not heard anywhere else. It's a great way to support and help out the show, and 10% of your monthly contributions go directly to the St. Jude Children's Hospital to support the incredibly important work they are doing to help these brave children and their families. Plus, contributors at the CWK All-Star level can watch a video podcast of CWK Pour-Over hosted by me, Tom Gross, and Corey Clubb. Feel free to reach out anytime if you have any questions. In addition to being part of the community on Facebook, please don't forget to visit our website at www.coffeewithkenobi.com for Star Wars news, announcements, reviews, videos, and so much more. If you have a question for me or just want to share your thoughts on the air, feel free to email me at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com and I'll share them on the show. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Mr. Zaire, MRZEHR, or on Instagram at DanZaireCWK. There are also a lot more ways to connect with me and Coffee with Kenobi on social media. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi. Check us out on Pinterest or subscribe to our Coffee with Kenobi YouTube channel. On our YouTube channel, you can find Facebook Live video, different interviews throughout the years, highlights of video coverage throughout the Coffee with Kenobi history, and the audio podcast itself. You can order my book, The Star Wars Book, which I co-wrote with Lucasfilm's Pablo Hidalgo and Cole Horton, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Books A Million, Walmart, or anywhere books are sold. You can also find my writing on Coffee with Kenobi's website, as well as StarWars.com, where I am an official blogger there, and on IGN, where I contribute occasionally to articles about Star Wars, as well as other popular culture topics. If you are considering starting a podcast or a blog, let me know how I can help you get started and make your creative vision a reality. Be sure to check out danzmedia.com and we can get the process started. I am also available to come to your school, conference, business, or organization to talk about how to tap into your strengths and help you bring out your very best. I want to inspire you to be inspired so you can take that first step into a larger world. Thanks as always to our Coffee with Kenobi sponsors, especially MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, our travel partner and your one-stop shop for all things Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Lines, or anywhere on the planet you want to go on your vacation. Please go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel to book your magical vacation and help support Coffee with Kenobi in the process. If you like the show, please tweet out that you're listening, share it on Facebook, or invite your friends and family to tune in and share a cup of coffee with us. And if the Force is especially with you, please take a couple of minutes to rate and review the show on iTunes or Google Podcasts. Every review makes a huge difference and helps to spread the word, and I can't thank you enough for your help, for your support, and your friendship. I love so much being a part of this wonderful Star Wars community, and I can't thank you enough for all that you do for me and Coffee with Kenobi. Well, hey, before we let you go, where can people reach out to you if they want to ask you any questions or just say hello.
If you would like to contact me, I am on Twitter and Instagram as Krystina Arielle, Krystina Arielle. And you can find me there. You can find me on Star Wars The High Republic show. We have shows bi-monthly, so our next episode is the May episode, and then the next one will be in July. So be sure to check out for that. Oh, also, I'm on a show called Into the Motherlands. I play Admiral Silent 919, who is an android bio-priest. So that comes on Wednesdays on the twitch.tv/Cypher of Tier. And we're sponsored by Twitch, and it's really exciting. And it's a show that it's a space adventure and kind of on brand if you think about it.
Indeed.
So you can find me there, and that's what I do. And you can find me on the internet because I live there.
I love it. Well, hey, thank you again so very much for being on Coffee with Kenobi. We'd love to have you back anytime.
It's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me.
A huge thank you to Krystina Arielle for coming on Coffee with Kenobi. And what a great conversation to have for the 8th anniversary. Again, I can't believe it. It's been 8 years. And here's something really crazy. And I may have talked about this on other platforms as well. But now I've officially been doing Coffee with Kenobi longer without Corey Club than I have been with him. So as many of you longtime listeners are aware, Corey and I started this show in 2013, and we just wanted to have a voice, a place for people to chat about Star Wars in a positive, academic fashion. We want to make you think. We want to make you laugh. Never did I, in my wildest dreams, imagine it would take me around the world, or that I'd get to meet some of the incredible people I have in the world of Star Wars. And you know what? The most important part about all that, the incredible people I've met, are each and every one of you. Whether it's been at a celebration, or on a Twitter conversation, or on Facebook, or on Instagram, anywhere that I've had the good fortune to chat with you, I've been so happy and blessed to be a part of the Star Wars universe and to get to know so many wonderful people. So thank you so much to all of you for all you do to uplift me, and I hope that in some small way through Coffee with Kenobi, I can help to return that favor. Be sure to join me Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time for Facebook Live, where we've given your top 5 favorite things from Episode 3 of The Bad Batch. At this point of this recording, I do not have a title, but I can't wait to find out not only what the title is, but more importantly, to watch the show and discuss it with each and every one of you. So until next time, everybody, thanks again for 8 years of Coffee with Kenobi, and here's to many, many more. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.